Airbnb mistakes, 17 things you must know before you rent. Here's how to book on Airbnb.
Between the two of us, we've stayed at Airbnbs all over the US, Canada, Mexico, Italy, France, Germany, Belgium, the Netherlands, Portugal, Costa Rica, the Dominican Republic, and more.
We'll reveal the trick we used to save $500 on our Airbnb booking in Italy. And no, it wasn't asking for a discount.
Do you know about what I call the hidden but avoidable 5% fee on every single Airbnb booking? You might be paying 5% more than you have to. I'll share our tip.
And we'll help you understand what Airbnb reviews really mean so you can avoid an Airbnb disaster.
We're Scott and Maddie. We slow travel the world while making money online. Whether you're going on a vacation or slow traveling like us, housing will almost certainly be your biggest expense.
And housing will be the most important for your comfort. Even if you're just sleeping there, the bed, noise level, and neighborhood safety can make or break your trip.
When renting on Airbnb, you can't just switch rooms like you might in a big hotel. You don't want to be in an unfamiliar city or country scrambling for another place to stay. So avoid these common mistakes when booking an Airbnb.
Airbnb mistake number 1, not knowing the neighborhoods.
The first rule of real estate is location, location, location. Research the neighborhoods where you'll want to stay. Maybe you want to prioritize walkability to sites or supermarkets or nightlife or access to mass transit. The neighborhoods you want could be what's safest or what's coolest or what's quietest. But if you don't know what you want, you'll only be selecting an Airbnb based on price and rating. Huge mistake. That's because some Airbnbs are cheap with great ratings because they're clean and affordable places. That might not be enough for you. You might regret staying in a sketchy neighborhood or even a nice neighborhood if it's a 30-minute Uber or 45-minute train ride from the main sites you want to visit.
So make a list of neighborhoods you would find acceptable. YouTube is a great place to do this research. For example, in our Mexico City cost of living video, we list the 6 or 7 neighborhoods we personally explored and felt safe in. We show the streets during the daytime and nighttime and so on.
In New York City, we really love the restaurants in Queens, but if it's your first time visiting New York, you'll probably want to stay in Manhattan so you don't waste your time commuting to see the major sites. But if you're staying in New York for a month or longer, sure, you might consider an Airbnb in an outer borough.
But the center of a city isn't automatically where you want to stay. In Mexico City, we liked sleeping in other neighborhoods much better than the historic center. Another thing about neighborhoods, staying near major train stations sounds convenient, but sometimes these are the sketchy areas. We found this to be the case in cities like Paris, Frankfurt, and Brussels. We felt safe, but we also felt we should be very alert and on guard, so do your research.
We'll tell you how we saved $500 booking an Airbnb in Italy using a little trick. But first, we'll share a very surprising mistake.
Airbnb mistake number 2, setting a price. I know this sounds crazy, but don't set a price when you first look for Airbnbs. That way, you can get an idea of what you should be paying. Otherwise, you might filter out terrific Airbnbs. Filter using the locations where you'd be okay staying, along with the dates of your trip.
As a general money-saving tip, many locations have a popular season called high season with lots of tourists competing for Airbnb and willing to pay more. Oftentimes, this is summer or Christmas. The same exact Airbnb can be much, much cheaper when fewer people are traveling to the same city. This is called low season.
For example, we visited Strasbourg during Christmas season, and it was totally worth it to pay more.
And there's a third option called shoulder season. This is a medium popular time. For instance, we visited Paris in October. There were fewer tourists and Airbnb were a bit cheaper, but it was still a nice time of year to visit compared to, say, maybe January or February when it's cold, but there aren't any Christmas decorations up.
But it's Paris. It's hard to go wrong any time of year. After you get an idea of rates for your dates, now it's time to set a price range that fits your budget. Airbnb mistake number 3, not seeing all the choices. There's a glitch in the Airbnb mobile version on the phone in map view. You don't see all the Airbnbs if you don't zoom in and out. Airbnb mistake number 4, not knowing your must-haves. Do you require air conditioning? Do you require a gym in the building? Don't waste your time. The Airbnb app lets you select your must-have amenities and features. This will filter out all the Airbnbs that lack what you require.
And the opposite is just as important.
Airbnb mistake number 5, not knowing your deal breakers.
My deal breakers are unreliable or slow Wi-Fi and late night noise from the outside or from neighbors.
My Airbnb deal breakers are a dirty place, an unresponsive host, or having to walk up 3 or more flights of stairs. So think about what would make your stay unacceptable. Now avoid those things by looking at the Airbnb pictures and reading the reviews. What are your Airbnb deal breakers? Let us know in the comments.
We have a special system for discovering deal breakers, which takes us to
Airbnb mistake number 6. Totally believing the reviews.
Look, when regular people write a review of a corporate hotel on the internet, they tend to be brutal. It's a faceless corporation and they often tell it like it is and aren't afraid to complain. But when regular people review an Airbnb, it's the opposite. Oftentimes, they've personally interacted with the owner of the apartment, or they've even met them in person and chit-chatted with them. Plus, the Airbnb host can rate you as a guest. So some guests might be afraid to say something overly negative because they think this will impact their guest rating, even if in reality it won't. There's a feeling that you should be nice when writing a review of an Airbnb because you're usually reviewing a small business owner or a person who is renting out their place. So you absolutely must read between the lines of the reviews. Reviews will sometimes hint at things they didn't like rather than come out and say it, or they'll play it down. For instance, my deal breaker is street noise at night. A hotel review would say, "Hot damn, this hotel room was noisy. It's next to the elevator that dings loudly all night, and there's a fireworks factory next door." If this same exact place were on Airbnb, the review would say, "The place is lovely. Looks like the pictures. You can hear the elevator bell, but it's not a big deal. We actually found it charming. Plus, as a bonus, there's a free fireworks show outside your window each night." For me, I take any complaint in an Airbnb review and multiply it by 10. If the Wi-Fi is a tiny bit slow, that means it's horrible. If the bed had a hair in it, that means the Airbnb is crawling with tarantulas.
I think you're exaggerating, but we get the idea.
We have serious Airbnb money-saving techniques coming up. But first, watch out for
Airbnb mistake number 7, not reading reviews of the host. You definitely want to read reviews of the exact unit where you'll be staying, but you also want to read up on the Airbnb host. Because sometimes the Airbnb unit you want doesn't have many reviews, or even if it does, remember, the person who will be fixing your problems is the host. You'll be dealing with the host. A great host can't fix an awful place, but a great host can fix problems quickly. And that's important because things can go wrong, especially if you're staying for over a week. Think of your own home. Stuff can randomly happen. The internet can go out, your washing machine can break, your toilet can back up, you need a new light bulb. In a hotel, you'd call the front desk. In an Airbnb, you contact the host. We had an issue in our Airbnb in Mexico City where suddenly, for no reason, the water in the bathroom sink turned brown.
Ew.
It was fine all week, and then it happened. We contacted our host, who had excellent reviews, and he sent someone to our Airbnb within 10 minutes, and they fixed it. If your Airbnb host isn't great, they might not respond back to you for hours, or they might not be able to solve the problem at all.
We're going to get to the big money-saving tricks, I promise. But I also promise that saving money on an Airbnb doesn't matter if you book a bad Airbnb. A deal isn't a deal if you're unhappy. So to make sure you'll be happy, avoid
Airbnb mistake number 8, not contacting the host before you pay. If any problem arises, it's the Airbnb host who is responsible for helping you. You want someone who's fast and friendly.
Instead of only relying on reviews, test them. After all, you're a potential customer about to pay good money. Message the host a question to see how they interact. Think of a real question you have about their Airbnb and ask it. For example, you might ask, is there construction nearby? Does the unit face the street? How late is the gym open? The point is not just to get an answer, but to see how they interact with you. Okay, 2 more booking mistakes, and then we'll get to the huge money mistakes people make on Airbnb.
Airbnb mistake number 9, not using the search function for reviews. You don't have time to read every single review. You want to first find reviews that reveal a deal breaker. That way you eliminate the Airbnbs that, while they fit your budget, have something you cannot live with. Read the lowest ratings first. For instance, if I see anything about bugs, I cross it off the list. Then, use Airbnb search for reviews. Now the problem is Airbnb search is dumb. You have to type in various spellings and synonyms. Since fast and reliable Wi-Fi is a must for us, I search for any review that says Wi-Fi is slow or unreliable. But I can't just type in Wi-Fi. I have to do another search for Y-Fi, another search for Y-Fi, another search for the word internet. When I want to see if a place is noisy, I search for the words noise, noisy, loud, and quiet. People leaving the reviews might be writing in another language, and the translations aren't always the same. Airbnb mistake number 10, not knowing how to find more photos. If your Airbnb is in an apartment building, you can often find more Airbnb listings in the building. Why would you do that? To see more photos. I like to see more photos of the building because sometimes you'll see different pictures of the shared spaces and common areas. For example, the Airbnb we had in Mexico City had an amazing view from the rooftop. And by looking at other listings, we saw different pictures of the pool and gym.
Okay, here are the tricks we use to save money on Airbnb.
Airbnb mistake number 11, not trying to book the Airbnb directly. This is how we saved $500. We booked directly instead of on Airbnb. Here's how we did it. If the Airbnb listing has a unique name, look up that name on the internet. Look up that name on Google Maps. The property might have a website where you can book directly. This is exactly what happened to us. And guess what? Booking directly saved us $500. The reason is Airbnb charges a big fee for using their service. But what if you can't find the property on the internet? You can message the host and ask if there's a direct booking for this listing or if the listing has a website. A third method is to check for the Airbnb listing on booking.com.
There's a warning though, if you do not book through Airbnb, you do not get Airbnb protections. For example, if there's a serious issue with your Airbnb that your host can't resolve, let's say they're building lost heat and it's very cold inside, or the host has to cancel, or the host doesn't respond at all for whatever reason, Airbnb will attempt to rebook you into a different property or give you a full or partial refund. So you might consider the extra money you pay on Airbnb's platform to be an insurance policy. In the case of our Airbnb in Lake Como, Italy, we decided to risk it and save the $500 because the host had over 50 fantastic reviews on Airbnb and on Google Maps.
It worked out great. Airbnb mistake number 12, not requesting a discount or not being worthy of a discount.
Ask for a discount. Sometimes it works, sometimes not. It helps if you have a great Airbnb guest rating and if you're staying for a week or longer. Yes, your Airbnb hosts rate you as a guest. So I imagine myself as the Airbnb host. Would I offer a discount to just anyone? Probably not. But if the potential guest who wants to stay at my property has terrific ratings, that's a relief. For example, they never damage anything, they leave the place clean, they don't hold wild parties, and they always leave on time. This type of easy guest could be worth securing with a discount compared to a guest who might cause issues. So be a great guest.
More ways to get an Airbnb discount. You usually get a discount on Airbnb when you book for a week or a month. There's something called a longer stay discount if you stay for at least 28 days.
And here's one more for adventurous and flexible travelers. Some people like to stay at an Airbnb for a day or two to see how they like it. Then they offer the host to stay longer if it's available, and then they book directly with the host to save on Airbnb fees.
Airbnb mistake number 13, not knowing hidden Airbnb charges. The price you see isn't the price you pay. The Airbnb app doesn't show you the full price with taxes until you click reserve. Don't be afraid to click reserve. It won't charge you until you click confirm and pay. Plus, at some locations, you'll need to pay extra local taxes when you're there in person. This happened to us in Italy. At hotels, they accepted this payment by credit card, but individual property owners from Airbnb or Booking.com required cash. We paid, I think, about €2 per person per night. Airbnb mistake number 14, not using a gift card to book your Airbnb.
With this trick, we get 5% cash back or 5x travel points every time we book on Airbnb. Let's say you're spending $1,000 on your Airbnb. That's $50 cash back. I call this a hidden fee because before I knew about this trick, I was basically wasting money on nothing. Here's how we did it. First, we find out how much the Airbnb will cost. Then we buy an Airbnb gift card with a credit card that pays us 5% cash back. There are at least 3 ways to do this, probably more. 1. You can buy an Airbnb gift card on Amazon.com using a credit card that gives you 5% cash back at Amazon. 2. You can buy an Airbnb gift card at a supermarket with a credit card that gives you 5% cash back at supermarkets. 3. Or do what we do and buy an Airbnb gift card at Staples with a Chase Inc. cash credit card. This card gives us 5x points or 5% cash back at office supply stores, and there's no annual fee. If you don't like any of those options, I'd say at least use a credit card that rewards you 3x points for travel purchases, or a card that rewards you 2% cash back everywhere you use it.
And just so you know, you can use an Airbnb gift card, and then if there's any remaining balance, you can use your credit card to cover that. We've got 3 final mistakes to avoid when booking your Airbnb. Airbnb mistake number 15, not knowing the Airbnb's proximity to what's important to you.
I like to look up the location on the Airbnb map, see the walking distance to the places you want to go. Personally, we like to be walking distance to a good supermarket, a cafe with Wi-Fi, and delicious restaurants. Do know that walking distance for you might not be what other people say is walking distance. Is walking distance for you 15 minutes, 10 minutes? For me, it's 15 minutes. But if it's rainy, it's 0 minutes. So we like to use Google Maps to understand the typical walking time in terms of minutes. It also helps to know if the neighborhood is hilly or hard to walk.
But the Airbnb map is only an approximation, and that might be enough for you, but I'll tell you about my advanced trick. Look at photos of the exterior of buildings that show signage or a storefront, and look those up on Google Maps. Or even easier, you can ask the host the name of the apartment building. Sometimes the name of the building is in the Airbnb's description. Airbnb mistake number 16, making a decision while tired. After we narrow it down to our top 3 to 5 choices, we stop. We don't look at it for a day. Then we look at it with fresh eyes, because you're more likely to make bad decisions when you're tired. Airbnb mistake number 17, not making a pros and cons list. When you're feeling fresh,
Or caffeinated.
yes, take a final look over your list of pros and cons for each Airbnb you've narrowed it down to.
You did make a list of pros and cons, right? This can be as simple as a spreadsheet with the name of each Airbnb and next to it stuff you like and stuff you didn't.
Airbnb also lets you write notes for each listing once you add them to a wish list. For example, Airbnb number 1 pros, location, amenities, cons, possible noise, then list the price next to that.
This makes it easier to decide based on logic instead of relying on your memory or on feelings.
We hope you can save money and time with some of these Airbnb tips. Which tip is your favorite? Please let us know in the comments. Or if you have any tips to add, please let us know.
Thanks for watching, and please like, comment, and subscribe. And to never miss another video, join our free email list on touchdownmoney.com.